everybody? Vince August here. It is Monday, July 22nd, 2024. And what a weekend we had. Comment section is on. I will answer any questions you throw at me. If I have answers, I will give them to you. If you want opinions, I'll give you my opinions. Let's make it civil, please. Anybody that's nasty and it just gets ugly, whatever, I just simply delete you. I ignore you. I don't play that game. Let's try to keep the topics, the questions and the topics I'm covering. I'm going to cover three topics tonight. The first being the most positive one. I'm going to start off with something positive. Finally, a congressional hearing where both sides of the aisle finally agreed on going after the head of the Secret Service. Obviously, the Republicans had a lot more anger in their tone, but even the Democrats were like, you got to resign. You got to resign. And we're talking about Cheadle, who is the head of the Secret Service, who sat there. And amazingly enough, it's one thing to not be able to do your job. It's another thing to not do your job well. It's another thing to fail at your job. It's inconceivable that you could fail at your job, show up at a hearing, be unprepared for the hearing, and then basically be brazen about it and be like, yeah, no, I'm not quitting. And you know what? I know this administration, they don't fire anybody. So why would I quit? I'm not going back to Pepsi. Sorry. I'm not going back to doing security for a soda company. So that's going to be topic one. Topic two, obviously we have to talk about President Biden and the current state of affairs. And then topic three, what the future looks like going forward for this election with the Democrats. All right. First, let's get to the Secret Service hearings today. Really, really refreshing to see both sides agree that this was a massive security failure. And that, look, if you're the head of the Secret Service and it's 9 days after the fact, and you still haven't been to the place where the shooting took place, if you haven't walked on the roof yourself, to call it an active investigation when it's no longer a crime scene scene's gone. Tape is gone. There's people from Congress have been walking all over the place, walking on the roof. If it is a crime scene, it's contaminated, so it's not a crime scene anymore anyway. But to sit there and say, no, I haven't been there yet, to sit there and say you don't have the information yet, you don't know timelines, and to not resign when literally both sides of the aisle. By the way, Ro Khanna was awesome today. I am going to jump on Nancy Mace a little bit because here's the thing. When you're doing these hearings, it's one thing to be aggressive in the questioning. It's another thing to be belligerent and badgering, to just try to score some points. I never understand that. And again, maybe that's the lawyer in me, that I've never conducted myself that way in a courtroom. I've never conducted myself that way as a judge. It's not necessary. And I've always mocked Judge Judy for that. And, maybe she made $40 million a year being a syndicated judge, and I'm, clearly not. But at the same time, I never feel that there's a need to yell at a person, to belittle a person. You could make someone look as incompetent as they are just by asking them questions and having them fail miserably at answering the questions, which was done. So, to kind of just, say it's bullshit and all of that. I didn't think the grandstanding was necessary. I think a lot of that is theater. But it was really refreshing to see both sides go after the head of Secret Service. Now, here's the thing. Both sides have asked for her resignation. She refuses to give her resignation. Very simple. President Biden, fire her. Maybe Vice President Kamala Harris, in the absence of Joe Biden, somebody pull this woman aside and say, look, we're going to give you one last shot to resign. Kind of like the way people go into an office and, tell somebody, maybe you should step aside. Maybe it's time to step down and resign. I think if that could be done, I don't know, to the president of the country, you could do that to the head of the Secret Service. Just a suggestion. If not, she's got to go. But it was really refreshing to see our government work today in unison. And that's our government at work. That's the way it should look most of the time. Most of the time. I think that's the way it should look. I think when there's a candidate for an office, whether it's a federal judge job, a Supreme Court judge job, I think it shouldn't be a partisan thing where one side defends, the other side attacks. I think everyone should go in with a similar position of, hey, look, you've got to prove to me why you deserve to have this job. And I think that goes for everything across the board. So real quick, let's get that one out of the way. Let's see the questions. Anthony and Alorno, she's done. Let's not forget who family lost a husband and father in Trump's. Yeah, the thing about that everyone keeps forgetting is they called it a failed assassination attempt. It's not a failed assassination attempt. When someone gets killed, that's a murder. There was a murder on live TV. Now, we didn't see the fireman, Competore, die, but basically someone was killed. So that was a complete disaster all the way around. It was an assassination. It was a murder. That person was successful. And here's another thing, just to get into it now that it's been 9 days and the facts are out, and I didn't want to trample on facts last week when it was new. Again, I hate to put on a tin hat, but I'm going to have to. You're not going to tell me that a 20-year-old kid, okay, went to this site, rangefinder, drone, flying a drone all over the place, finding the rooftop with the perfect angle. You're not telling me this kid worked alone. You're not telling me this 20-year-old kid outsmarted multiple police forces and the Secret Service. And if he did, then we need to hire more 20-year-old kids. We need more 20-year-old kids working for the Secret Service and for police stations, because that's pretty amazing that he went there with a drone and our Secret Service didn't. Okay, so yeah, you're not telling me that this kid worked alone. And the fact that she's not sharing whether he worked alone or not. Look, if you tell me it's an ongoing investigation, we don't want to blow our investigation, I'll buy with in terms of putting the pieces together and going after other parties. But to tell me that you don't know the timeline and you can't tell me at some point in time, look, President Trump, former President Trump should have never been let onto that stage. Then you don't deserve that job, plain and simple. So yeah, she's got to be done. But you know what, Tony, she's not done, because she's not resigning. And the person who could fire her right now, which is the next topic I'm going to cover, is missing in action. Listen, everybody. President Biden was diagnosed with COVID 5 days ago. There was a doctor report issued today that he's doing better. He's almost in the clear. Okay. President Biden broke up with his voters on X. Okay. Basically, it's like getting a breakup via a message. Someone texted you, I'm breaking up with you. He broke up with his voters on X. If you're a Biden supporter, if you're a Democrat, okay, you honestly can't sit there and look at me with a straight face and not have a question about what the status of Joe Biden is right now and not have a concern. That is probably the most disingenuous thing anyone can tell me right now. If you're a Democrat, okay, and you could say, listen, you know what? What he did was brave. What he did was selfless. First of all, that's bullshit. Okay, we know come on. The guy said in one interview, it's going to literally take God to come down. Then it was, if I have an illness and I'm not going to make it, that's reason two. Or if you show me a poll that shows me there's no way I can win, that's the third reason. Well, when he broke up with everybody yesterday on X, he didn't give any reason. No reason whatsoever. And the fact that he still has not been on video. Today, there was, I guess, Kamala did a presser from the headquarters of the DNC in Delaware, where the guy lives. And he phoned in and clearly was reading off a script. Phoned in. We still have not seen a visual of Joe Biden. You can't tell me that that's acceptable. Okay, because I can tell you this. I'm, again, unaffiliated, undeclared to either party, not Republican, not Democrat. I don't call myself an independent. I don't call myself a libertarian. I call myself an American. I can tell you right now, as an American citizen taxpayer, I have a serious concern. I have a serious concern about the status of this man. And I hope it's not bad. I hope it's not worse than what we think it is. Because again, much like I don't wish anything bad on Trump, I sure as hell don't wish anything bad on Biden. I don't want to see anybody suffer, go through pain, illness, anything else. But if you can't pull out of the race on camera, if you can't appear on camera today to give your nod to Kamala Harris, you need to resign immediately. Hand the reins off to Kamala Harris. Swear her in as president. Let's see if she could do the job. Put her in charge, because the fact that you're not visible is of serious concern to somebody like me. And you know what? If this guy's as impaired as he is, get him the help he needs. Stop lugging this guy all over the place. It's not right. It's wrong. It's wrong for our country. It's wrong for him. Just swear her in. Make her president. Period. End of story. Look, if you think she could do the job, if you think she's fit enough to run and win and be president for 4 years, what's the difference? Swear her in now. Let her be president for the next at least 4 months, 6 months, until she runs, and who knows what happens. There's no reason not to swear her in right now. None. I can't think of one reason. Can anyone tell me a reason why not to swear her in? I don't know. Let's see, Joe, so many questions. If she is fired or resigns, who is the replacement? For the Secret Service, very easy. It's next in line. Next in line. Promote the next in line. It's like a police force. The interesting thing that was said today, Joe, by the way, one of the Congress people asked or did a quote of the 435 offices or 450 offices in Washington, D.C., where was morale the lowest and where were people like least happy? What's like the worst office to work in? I think like the Secret Service was like in the top 10 worst places. It was like 431 out of 435. That's not an office you want to have low morale in. Just saying. If you're protecting people's lives, you don't want low morale in that office. You don't want low morale in a police department. Look at what's happened since the George Floyd thing with low morale. Okay. Cops are like, hey, man, listen, I ain't arresting anybody. Screw it. You guys deal with it. Because if I'm going to get in trouble. I got to think about every time I do something, what's going to happen to me. Screw it. You guys do it. You don't want low morale in that job. Eileen said us. I don't know what us is an answer to, but she said us. What did she do before she took over this? She worked for Pepsi. So apparently she was, I think, in charge of security for PepsiCo. Someone had said it was Doritos or whatever. I'm almost positive it was Pepsi. Someone could Google it while I'm doing this now. But from what I understand, she was in charge of Pepsi and their security and or whatever the hell it was that she was doing there. Send her back, man. Send her back. At this point, I don't think she should be in charge of Pepsi, Royal Crown, or fucking Tab. Is Tab still around? Is that still a soda? I don't think she should be in charge of that. So between us, yeah, let her go. Schweppes, put her in charge of Schweppes Club Soda. But yeah, so let's get into the Biden thing. First of all, there's no way he made this decision on his own. Again, the 3 reasons he gave us: God, illness, I can't win, show me a poll. He didn't give us a reason. It's pretty clear what happened here. And let me tell you something. Here's another thing. The cowardice that we're seeing from politicians today. First of all, top of the list, Nancy Pelosi. It's clear as day Nancy Pelosi used Adam Schiff to do her dirty work last week, because Adam Schiff stepped forward, came up and is like, Joe's got to step down. There's no way Adam Schiff does that without Nancy Pelosi's blessing. So Adam Schiff was basically Nancy Pelosi's hitman. So that was her soldier that she sent forward and said, go ahead, go. You got the order. Go do the whacking. That's first. Second, Barack Obama. Man, Talk about a coward hiding behind people. So hid behind George Clooney. George, go do the op-ed. You got, yeah, you have my blessing. And you know what's funny? Everyone calls Trump a gangster and how Trump sends all of his people to do his dirty work, which he does. Again, oh my God, how you people don't see that they're the same shit is amazing to me. How you honestly believe that these parties, the way they operate, are different is mind-numbing to me. They're the same thing. Nancy Pelosi sends Schiff. Barack Obama sends George Clooney. I mean, who was the other one that we saw? Oh God, there was Barack, Pelosi, and then Biden does it through X. So Biden doesn't even step forward and do it himself. So everyone kind of hides behind something, behind the facade, whether it's another person or a really social media. So the cowardice, and everyone's making Joe Biden out to be such a hero that he did this. Oh my God, this selfless act. As of Friday, there was no selflessness about him. And the interesting thing is, of all places, Newsmax leaked this on Thursday. Okay. Newsmax, which is not exactly the most left-leaning of reporting sources and news information. So somebody at Newsmax got a leak from the White House and basically said by Monday he's stepping out of the race. So here's the other thing. Who's the leak in the White House, man? Because somebody from the White House, that office is leaking like a sieve. And again, as an American, you can't sit there and tell me you have no concern. You have no concern about how our country's being run when Newsmax on Thursday leaks that Joe Biden is out of the race by Monday. 100% true. Even though on Friday he said it wasn't happening, which means someone was in the office saying, yeah, don't worry about it. It's done. But he's saying it's not happening. It's Friday. He's no, listen to me. It's done. It begs the question, who's running the country? It's not Joe Biden. It's not Kamala Harris. Okay. It's donors, because in the end, this is about money. Okay. Now, here's the other thing. It's Kamala Harris. Okay. There's no way it's not Kamala Harris. And I'm going to give you 240 million reasons why it's Kamala Harris. So far, Biden and Harris has raised how much money? Oh, yeah, $240 million. Now, the way it works, and it's my understanding, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, that money cannot be transferred to another candidate that's not Biden or Harris. The money went to the Biden-Harris ticket. So it's my understanding the way it works. Harris has to remain on the ticket in order for them to use the $240 million. If she's off the ticket completely, I think they get to keep somewhere in the ballpark of like $24 million. I think you can keep 10% of it. And again, if I'm wrong, someone tell me I'm wrong. Look it up while we're having this discussion. It's my understanding you can only keep 10%. The rest has to go back to the donors. Now, she raised $80 million today in her own name. So already they got $80 million in her name. Again, I don't know that she could give that money up. So the 240 just became 320. It's Kamala, everybody. I know Barack Obama's like, hey, look, we need to have an open convention. We need to have different names. We need to hear different people. I don't know what his game is. I don't know who owns him, that he's still taking this road. But Pelosi supported her today. Everyone's come out and supported her today. And listen, it's got to be her. You can't. If you're the Democrats, how do you look at people with a straight face and say, we're going to replace Kamala Harris and ever bring up gender and race ever again? Because if you criticize Kamala Harris, you're sexist and racist. So if you're the Democrats and you sidestep her and go to anybody else, nonetheless, Gavin Newsom, a white dude from California, the same state, you're going to tell me about sexism and racism? Get out of here, man. No way. Let's see. Joe Rizzo, the White House under Biden was basically leak-proof until they wanted to axe Biden. 100%. 100%. Then all of a sudden they turn coat within 12 seconds and they're running their fingers in the dike. Yeah, Joe. I mean, the crazy thing is, the one thing I will say when it comes to politics, when you are no longer useful to your party, you're done. They don't care. They don't try to save you. They don't do anything to defend you. They're out. Now listen, the fact that they're getting rid of Joe Biden because again, he's old. Well, they haven't said he's old. No one's stepping. Joe Scarborough said it 2 months ago. This is the sharpest Joe Biden I've ever seen. I've known Joe Biden for almost all of my life. This is the sharpest version of Joe. First of all, how do you look at a camera and tell your audience, however many people are watching Joe Scarborough, I have no idea, that the 80-year-old version of a politician is the sharpest version that you've ever seen? How you say that with a straight face and people still watch your show is mind-numbing to me. Because if you're a member of his audience and you don't shut off the TV at that point, I don't know how much bullshit you could swallow, but apparently a lot. Okay. So first of all, you've been gaslighting us for I don't know how long. But what are you going to do? Say after the debate, look, he's old, because he said he had a bad night. And a lot of people defended him saying it was a bad night. Now, it wasn't a bad night. What do you have? A couple more bad nights in? So this happened that night. Up until July, up until June 30th, he was fine. And now, get out of here, man. Get out of here with that. So you've been gaslighting us for at least the better part of 2024. Completely gaslighting us for 2024. Now what? Now what is it? Why is he stepping aside? And don't tell me he's stepping aside voluntarily. Don't tell me there wasn't some deal made. Don't tell me this is him putting the country before everybody else. No way. No way you're selling that to me, which is another concern too. If you're a Democrat, again, be honest with yourself. I don't care what you say to me. I don't care what you put in this post, but be honest with yourself. How much lying can you take where you're just accepting everything they throw at you and you don't sit back and say, hey, look, man, there's no way in hell I'm voting for Donald Trump. Okay, no way. I'm not going in there and pulling a lever for Donald Trump. However, come on. You gaslit me for 6 months. Everyone was calling him old. You were saying he wasn't old. Videos were popping up. You were calling him cheap fakes. The guy hasn't done a press conference. He reads off of teleprompters. He reads off of notes. He hasn't spoke to anyone. Okay. She's not speaking to anyone. Hey, look, I'll support her. I'm on board. I'm never going to vote for the other guy. I'm fine with you saying all of that. But at what point do you look and say, you guys got to start telling me the truth, man? You got to start telling me what the hell's going on here. Who's running shit? At what point do people say that? I don't know. As an American, I'm saying it now. And I've been saying it for a long time. And everyone's been attacking me saying, oh, what are you, a Republican? You're attacking? What are you, ageist? You're calling him an old man. You're making fun of him. No, I just want to know who's running the country. Because apparently we've been right. It couldn't be him. So what's going on behind closed doors? Because all of you have been lying to me. The media, the propaganda media has been lying to me. Apparently the president's been lying to us. Karine Jean-Pierre's been lying to us. And de facto Kamala Harris has been lying. When do we get the truth? When do we get the truth? And by the way, Kamala Harris, you do get sworn in as president. Let's see your first act. Fire the head of the Secret Service. Let's see. Who else is jumping in? Phil Leds. Biden. I mean, do they just announce he got COVID for the third time? If it was for any of our grandparents, we would expect the worst. Yeah, I mean, Phil, at this point, look, I don't even know if he has COVID. I'll be honest with you. Who knows if that's a smoke? I mean, Phil, between us, do you believe anything coming out of the White House these days? How do you take anything coming out of the White House as truth right now? I don't know that this guy's got COVID, because if he's got COVID and he's recovering and he's on his 5th day, he still can't appear on camera with COVID. He's had it twice. I've seen him walking around with masks. Saw him the day he had COVID coming off the plane. He's in worse shape than that. I mean, again, man, I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Never have really. No, Phil, you and me both, man. I'm not buying it. So yeah. Let's see what else. Let's get into what was the third thing I wanted to get into? The ugly with everything that's been going on. Pretty much is, we're told about disinformation and how there's disinformation out there, and how, you have to censor all of this disinformation, and how you have to hold people accountable for putting out lies. Well, let's get into the disinformation so far that we've had in the past 10 days. Secret Service person, this woman Cheadle, says the slope of the roof where the shooter was of a degree that was unsafe for Secret Service. I saw 9 members of Congress walking on that roof, video showing them that they went to the scene, walking all over the roof. The fact that there were snipers on a roof with a sharper angle than that. She lied to us. That's disinformation. I thought we're supposed to punish this. I thought you're supposed to get in trouble for putting out false information. So when the head of the Secret Service does that in an interview with ABC, but has to be subpoenaed to appear before Congress, what happens? There's no punishment for that. So we shut down Twitter accounts. We boot people off of Twitter. We boot people off of social media. We ban people from Facebook from putting up posts. But when the head of Secret Service tells me, now we couldn't put anybody on that roof. What? Nah, the angle was too sharp. Clear lie. That's a lie. That's not even disinformation. That's a lie. And nothing happens to this person. There's no accountability. At what point do we say that's got to stop? At what point do we look at Karine Jean-Pierre and say, you've been lying to us, at least for the last 30 days, about the president's condition. You've been telling us that this guy's fine. Clearly, he's not fine. Clearly, he's compromised. She stands up there every day talking about disinformation, cheap fakes, this, that, the other. At what point do we hold her accountable for some of the stuff that she said? Okay. At what point during debates are we finally going to have somebody during a Q&A? At what point during any interview with, I don't care who it is, from Washington, are we going to have somebody sitting behind the news reporter who's just there doing this? Next question. Oh, yeah, that was a lie. All right, next question. At what point are we going to have somebody sitting in the room saying, look, I'm going to ask you questions. This person here, they're going to fact check you. At what point during a debate are we going to have fact checkers? Is it that hard? Why does it have to be at the end of the debate? Why does it have to be the next day, Pinocchios and this, that, the other thing? Because clearly we're being lied to on a regular basis. And it's not, look, it's stuff that has to do with things that just get buried. The pipeline that was blown up, okay? The Nord Stream pipeline that was blown up. That was one of the biggest eco disasters in possibly top 5 biggest eco disasters. That happens and we don't care. We don't care about what caused it. We're not going to investigate that at all. Oh, that's convenient. So at what point do we stop with all of this ugliness, the deceit that's being thrown at us? At what point does our media get held accountable for actually doing their job? At what point do we have to look and say, you know what? We've got to now say news shows are going to be fact checked. At what point do we put an independent source tagged, much like the way X does on news channels, so that maybe whatever your provider is says, look, we're going to assign fact checkers to channels that every time somebody on the news says something that's false, boom, flag comes up. Every time a politician says something that's false during a debate, boom, flag comes up. At what point do we start putting in safeguards to protect the people so that people aren't just swallowing all of the bullshit that they're getting? I don't know. I think we're past that time. How far in are we? 30 minutes. All right. Let's see. Joe Rizzo, that should be the moderator's job. Plus, fact checkers aren't even trusted anymore. Well, that's the other thing, Joe. Look, the one thing, and I did this in a comedy show. I said, when President Biden tells a lie, it's, look, when I took over, inflation was 9.5%, man. It was 6.5%. It was 7%. Look, man, it was, I took over and everything was terrible. It was the worst it ever was. That's how Biden tells a lie. Here's how Trump tells a lie. You know what? No, black people have never loved the candidate more than me. I'm the favorite of all black people. In fact, if you ask black people who their favorite person is, they're probably going to say Donald Trump. I've done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln. I've done more for black people than anybody in the history of the world. So when he tells a lie, it's this like just hyperbolic thing that you look and you're like, what are you saying, man? What's the matter with you? Whereas the other side, Biden starts telling you like statistics and look, man, gas prices are coming down. Yeah, after they went up. Whereas Trump tells you, I'm going to end the war, one phone call. Well, first of all, you can't end the war with one phone call because there's two people going at war, two countries going at war. You can't end a war with one phone call unless you get everybody on the same phone call. One phone call, war is over. I end the war with one phone call. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? So, that's the other thing. At what point does a moderator say, really? Who are you going to call? Who's that phone call to? One phone call. That's all I need. Who are you going to call? I can't tell you who I'm going to call because I don't want to give away secrets. And then moderators say, all right, so you're full of shit. Next one. Let's go to you. Okay. Come on, Iris. Have you been to the border? I haven't been to Europe. Like at what point do you say, no, man? No, then the answer is no. At what point do we hold people accountable? It happened today. You saw it happen today with Cheadle. So it can happen. It can happen. Let's see. AI is coming. We'll be able to fact check and say, yeah. Well, Anthony, who's going to program the AI? That's the other problem. So we say AI isn't a fact check. Great. What's the program behind the AI? And is the program compromised to sway one side as opposed to the other? Because you can have people load facts to try to make history convenient for themselves and say, you know what? Yeah, we don't want to make the Japanese people feel bad. So you know what? They didn't really attack Pearl Harbor. Okay. You know what? Yeah, that Oppenheimer thing with those two atomic bombs. You know what? Maybe not that many people. How many Holocaust deniers do we have out there? What if a Holocaust denier programs AI to say the Holocaust never happened? So yeah, how about we just have people in charge during the course of a debate to say, you know what? Look, you said this before. Our fact checker has the facts. Here's what happened. Here's the truth of what happened. Is that so hard to do? I mean, you would think with the technology I have today, that's not that hard of a thing to do. I don't know. That's the show I've been selling, by the way, and nobody wants to buy it because maybe, I don't know, maybe, do you guys think that people take more comfort in the lie than the truth? You think the truth is too hard for some people? That could be a thing too, Maybe people are just don't want to deal with the truth. Maybe people don't want to deal with the truth with regards to what happens during wars. Because I said this during one of my last podcasts, the view of a war from most people is what? Hollywood. We see movies, war movies. We see, Saving Private Ryan or whatever. And people are like, oh my God, look at that movie. It was so real. So this. It's soldiers fighting soldiers. How often do you see humans that are not involved in the war, not wearing soldiers getting bombed and blown up? You don't, unless you read Al Jazeera and you see what's happening in Gaza and you say, look, man, Israel, all right, you take your foot off the pedal, man. You won. Okay. You're not going to stamp out hatred. You're not going to rid the world of Hamas. You're not going to get rid of Hezbollah by continuing to bomb the shit out of these people. Haven't you learned anything from what we did from 9/11 all the way until the withdrawal from Afghanistan? Did that get rid of terrorism? Didn't you learn from Barack Obama bombing the shit out of Syria, Somalia, Yemen? Did we rid the world of terrorism doing that? So, I don't know. Maybe people don't want the truth. Maybe that's not part of what we want. Um, so let's see. What else? Any questions? I'm here 35 minutes in. Don't want to make these too long. Those are the main topics I wanted to hit. Great to see Congress finally work together, go after somebody who should have been held accountable. Now it's up to the president or vice president to get rid of the head of the Secret Service. Let's see if either one of them have the guts to do it. It's amazing how different these two administrations were. Trump hired a bunch of people that were incompetent, started firing them left and right. This administration obviously hired some people that were incompetent, and you know what? They don't fire anybody. Let's just drive the boat into the iceberg. Hey, let's live with what we did. Neither one of those are the right ways to do things, by the way. So neither one of those work. Second, the fact that Joe Biden is missing is of serious concern and should be of serious concern to everybody. That this guy is heroic and did this selfless act, not buying it. It's clear as day. This is a donor decision. This is about money. Don't tell me about soul of democracy. This was a decision about you can't win. We want to stay in power. It's got nothing to do with you, Joe. Get out of the way, move, or it's going to get ugly. And they probably made him an offer he couldn't refuse, Godfather style. The other fact, the cowardice, Pelosi hiding behind Schiff, Obama hiding behind Clooney, Biden hiding behind X, and still won't appear on camera. Really bad look. Another thing, my opinion, swear Kamala Harris in right now. Make her the president right now. You said to us when you picked the vice president, you were picking someone that was capable. She was going to be a woman. She was going to be a woman of color. She could do the job. You just endorsed her to do the job. Clearly, you're compromised. What's the difference? If you're going out on this heroic, selfless act, make it a completely selfless act. Then go all the way, Joe. Go all the way. Swear her in now. Make her the president now. Let's at least get a look at what she could do. Might as well. The other thing is, again, how long have we been lied to? How long has the press been lying to us? How long has Karine Jean-Pierre been lying to us? How long has this administration been lying to us? And at what point, as a member of that party, do you say, look, man, again, I'm not voting for Trump. And I get you want to vote for the guy. I'm not voting for him, but you got to come clean. You got to tell us what the hell's going on. At some point, you got to be honest with us. Are you going to be honest with us in the next 4 weeks and tell us what the hell's been going on here? Yes or no? I think you're owed that as a Democrat. I think I'm owed it as an American tax-paying citizen. That's all I'm asking for. But those are my checklist. That's my wish list. Swear Kamala in now. Fire the head of the Secret Service. And let's see how the president's doing. Give us some notification. Start fact-checking the shit out of everybody on every debate, on news channels. I want to see fact checkers on everything because you know what? The lies have got to stop. The deceit has got to stop. Look, we're never going to know who's running the country. And you know my opinion on it. I'm a Carlin guy. This thing has been bought and sold. We're being run by Pfizer, Moderna, Raytheon, all of the military industrial complex, Gates, Soros. That's who's running the country. Let's be honest. It's not the people in Washington. It's the donor class. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is see what happened this weekend. That's it. If you have questions, I will answer them. There are 7 people watching. Thank you so much for watching live. You can tell me if you watch this on replay. Just put replay. If I got anything wrong with the donor money, let me know. If you have, facts to throw at me that show me that I'm wrong, by all means, put it here because you know what? Fact check me. I want to be fact checked. Without a doubt, you should fact check me the way I'm asking everyone else to be fact checked. Opinions are opinions. Eisenhower warned against it. You're right, Joe Rizzo. Hey, listen, we are where we are because you know what? You wanted to make reality stars famous. You did. So famous, you made one a president. So we reaped what we sowed as a nation. You dumbed down America to the point where, we can't even get someone to complete a full sentence. We can't get people to answer questions during debates. Nobody wants the job. No one's running for office. Look at the people in Washington now. They're embarrassments for the most part. This is what we're left with. You know what? when do we get term limits, man? When do we finally get term limits? They're not going to vote term limits. Me and you are the term limits. Do the best you can with it. Hope everybody enjoyed this podcast. May come back later this week. Maybe we'll do some fun stuff. Maybe we'll do some sports stuff. I don't watch the Olympics. I don't care about the Olympics anymore since they put pros in there. I don't care about LeBron James winning a gold medal with the U.S. basketball team that they almost lost to some country that I don't even know if they have a pro basketball league. Baseball's going on. My Pittsburgh Pirates are actually in a race. That's interesting. The Mets are in a race. When you have the Mets and the Pirates in baseball races for a wild card position, you know the world is upside down. NFL is coming soon. We could talk fantasy football. If you have whatever questions you have, throw them at me. Let's have some fun. Joe Rizzo, term limits, amen. Yep, I'm with you. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for checking in. Like, subscribe. Go to my YouTube page. Please follow me on YouTube. It costs you nothing. It builds up my audience. It helps me monetize. It helps me grow the channel. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.